Follow the boat Flow+Magic Transformation 12 Spells+Single Female Lead+Unholy Mother+Decisive Assassination+Semi Invincible+Intelligence Flow+Funny+Reasonable Plot. Vivi, what is the reason why the sand crocodile plotted against Alabastian? Sami, of course it's for the Hades. Don't worry, watch me use the dragon talisman to fuck him. Nami, where exactly did the Sandians go? Sami, I went to the empty island. Let's go, my tiger talisman curse is already unbearable. Joba, why did Robin leave? Sami, it must have been forced by CP9, dare to touch my wife. Rat talisman, kill them. Usopp, where exactly is Rafdru? Just as Sami was about to speak, he heard Luffy holding his leg and wailing. Please don't say anything more. Leave me some mystery. Chapter 1, I am Sami, the nephew of Dadan. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. The main character cheats are 12 talismans, which have undergone a certain degree of magic modification and are not suitable for entry. Although the Kingdom of Goya is known as the most beautiful country in the East China Sea. But the windmill village it belongs to cannot be considered a famous place. The only tavern in the village called Magino is still open today. Receive the good drinkers from our village and the travelers traveling from south to north. Of course, occasionally there may be some abnormal customers visiting, and the owner of the tavern adheres to the principle of doing business and usually does not refuse. Scar Ferguson, captain of the Ferguson Pirates. A bounty of 3 million belize is offered. At this moment, he was drinking heavily in the tavern with a boat of his subordinates. They were talking loudly to each other, speaking rudely and without any regard for the angry gazes of others. Some of the guys who were addicted to alcohol began to look at the beautiful boss with malicious eyes, with ulterior motives. Hey! What do you mean there's no alcohol left? Ah! Ferguson suddenly said in a fit of rage. He glared fiercely at the bewildered landlady and said, aren't you unwilling to sell our bar? How could that be? Customer, the landlady forced out a smile and said, your subordinates are really massive. They have consumed all the stored wine in our store. Shut up. Don't make excuses for me. Ferguson was furious, and the scar on his face became even more ferocious. Women, we finally managed to evade the Navy's pursuit and want to relax. If it weren't for alcohol, my subordinates wouldn't be happy. Ferguson laughed wildly after speaking, while his subordinates chuckled inwardly. Their ferocious appearance frightened the other guests in the tavern. The timid ones had already scrambled for the door and fled, while the rest had stiffened their bodies and dared not move. Magino had no choice but to find a way to deal with these people. Magino, take my wine and give it to them. Village chief, but... It's okay, you can take it. Magino could only nod and pick up the unopened bottle of wine from the village chief, forcing a smile to bring it to Ferguson. But... Bang! How could Ferguson, who was clearly about to cause trouble, give up easily? Without saying a word, he smashed the wine bottle and shouted at Magino, damn it. I wouldn't accept charity from others. Exactly. How dare you treat our captain with something someone else has drunk? Are you tired of living? That bottle of wine is clearly unopened. Shut up. If I say it's leftover, it's leftover. Dare to trick us, kill her. Kill that old man together. Ferguson's subordinates were in a state of excitement, and those who had already drunk were eager to start a scene quickly. Then take the opportunity to plunder this village. Mr. Ferguson sat there, watching his subordinates excite with a cruel smile on his face. Mad. I've been chased by the Navy for the past 6 months, and I've been holding myself crazy. I have to kill some people well to be comfortable. I want to see who else dares to stop me. As soon as you think about it later, you'll hear his favorite scream. By the way, you can also taste the beautiful landlady, and his disgusting saliva involuntarily drips down. Shut up. A group of fools. The wine is not even good. A voice suddenly rang out, and the pirates were momentarily stunned. The voice came from the village chief. Ferguson was furious and said, "Old man, you dare to scold us, you're getting impatient." "It's not the village chief who scolded you, it's me." A young man raised his head and smiled at Ferguson. "You scumbags, your laughter is really nauseating." He cursed in his mouth, but the smile on his face was very warm, and coupled with his delicate appearance, it gave people a feeling of being bathed in spring breeze. But unfortunately, in Ferguson's eyes, it was a blatant mockery. "Seek death. Kill him for me." Ferguson, who was accustomed to being obedient to others, was instantly like a firecracker being ignited, unleashing a flame of anger. The impatient pirates, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately rushed towards the young man at the command of their boss. Fire guns and swords stand up like a forest. Pirates are as fierce as tigers. Magino immediately covered his mouth, closed his eyes, and dared not think about the young man's miserable situation later. At this moment, only a crisp snap of fingers was heard. Next, there was the huge roar of the beast. Then, the pirates panicked and screamed in agony. Finally, when Magino realized something was wrong and quickly opened his eyes, the tavern was already in chaos. Cups, plates, dishes, tables, chairs, and benches were scattered all over the ground, interspersed with bright red bloodstains like a stream. A strong smell of blood rushed straight into the nose. However, Magino did not see any body, not a single severed limb or arm. Except for the young man and the village chief, all the once arrogant pirates disappeared from the scene. How could this be? Magino covered his mouth again in surprise. Where have they gone? The young man slowly finished his glass of wine and asked with a smile, "Are you Sister Magino? I've heard my aunt often talk about you, and I'm sorry for making this so messy." Magino quickly shook her head to show that she didn't care. Then he looked at the young man in front of him. He was wearing a simple blue shirt and black pants, looking very ordinary. "It's okay, but who is the aunt you're talking about?" "It's Dadan from Kalbo Mountain, and I'm her nephew, Sami." "Ah." Magino covered her mouth with a surprised expression. "Because no matter who it is, I'm afraid they don't think this refreshing and sunny young man in front of them has any relatives with Dadan, do they? After all, in terms of appearance, they are completely two species. Although it's surprising, it's true. Aunt Dadan is my mother's biological sister." Sami scratched his head. He was already very accustomed to this kind of expression from others. "Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't mean that." Magino felt very impolite. "It's okay, hasn't my aunt ever mentioned me in front of you?" "Never." "Where are Luffy and the others?" "Every time I mention it. It's really frustrating." "I'm sorry." "Ha ha ha, it's okay." Sami smiled and waved his hand, indicating no need to worry. "Sami, sir, I wonder if you're here for anything?" "Oh, I'm here to pay off Aunt Dadan's alcohol bill. She owes you a total of 357,401 Bailey, right? It's all here." Sami swallowed the rice in his mouth, pushed a cloth bag to Magino, and complained in his mouth. "Really, how could I owe so much money just for drinking? It's really a headache to have me repay it on her behalf." Magino quickly waved her hand and said, "Actually, you don't have to worry so much. I can wait. It's okay, anyway I happen to be here and have other matters to attend to. In addition, my aunt has raised me for a period of time, so let's just repay her kindness." Sami said nonchalantly. As is well known, he is a traveler. "Although I am not an orphan in this life, my parents are both sailors and have been sailing at sea all year round. So for a long time, Sami, who had no one to take care of, had been adopted by Dadan. Until the age of 12, he was arranged as an apprentice on a small merchant ship. After that, he worked for 10 years, rising from a trainee sailor to the rank of first mate. The youngest merchant ship chief officer in the entire kingdom of Goya. Magino's face was sweating. Sure enough, the Dadan family is a childcare institution, right? These are all the 4th children raised there. From Ace to Luffy, there's nothing to worry about. But this one named Sami looks quite stable. Upon hearing what Sami said, Magino curiously asked, "Do you have anything else to do with coming here?" "It's like this, the merchant ship owner I work for has recently retired, but I have a bad relationship with my son who inherited his ship, so I resigned from my job. My aunt said that the child she once raised, named Luffy, is going to sea tomorrow, so she quickly came to ask him if there is anything he can help with." "Really?" Magino's eyes lit up when she heard it. Recently, she was feeling a headache for Luffy, who was preparing to go to sea. How could there be such a hasty decision in the world when only a small boat with a hole and a leak is clamoring to go out to sea? But thinking that Ace was like this back then, but now he is a renowned pirate, Magino couldn't help but marvel at the wonder of the sea. She was about to say something when the waist door of the bar was suddenly forcefully pushed open. A young man wearing a red jacket and blue pants walked in with big strides. Wearing a straw hat on the head. A confident smile on his face. There are also timeless supreme slippers. It's Munch D, Luffy, that's right. Chapter 2, Rat Spell. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sami felt a surge of excitement in his heart. As a seasoned Jaime, is there anything more exciting than meeting the male lead? Magino, I want to eat a lot of meat. Luffy walked directly to the bar and sat down next to Sami, shouting at Magino. Da. He kept tapping the bar with knives and forks in both hands, making a loud noise. Eat. 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 Magino quickly waved her hands and said, "Got it, Luffy, please be quiet. There are still guests here." Ah. Luffy turned his head and saw Sami. "Why is there someone here?" "Sure enough, he's a crazy guy. I've been here long ago, Luffy." "Thank you, Magino, ahem." Luffy took the food handed by Magino and ate it in large gulps, completely ignoring Sami. Magino quickly said, "Luffy, don't do this, it's too impolite." "It's okay, Magino," Sami waved his hand and said. He already knew what kind of personality Luffy had, so it's not surprising at all. "My name is Lagna Sami. My name is Luffy, and I am the man who wants to become the One Piece King." He smiled again with his bright white teeth. "I am Dadan's nephew." Puff. Luffy spat out all the food with an incredulous expression on his face. "Are you lying, right?" Even with his simple brain, he couldn't connect Sami with the ferocious Dadan. "It's true." "Was it adopted?" "It's a blood relative." "That's amazing." "I think so too," Sami said with a smile. Magino couldn't understand their conversation at all. "Luffy, I heard from Dadan that you are going to sea tomorrow." "Well, I made an appointment with Ace and Sabo to go out to sea at the age of 17, and tomorrow I will be exactly 17 years old. Is there anything I can help with?" "No, I'm ready with the boat, food, and fresh water, no problem at all," said Luffy confidently. Magino saw Luffy's decisive refusal and couldn't help feeling anxious. "Luffy, Mr. Sami has many years of sailing experience. You can consult him if you have any questions." "But I really have no problem." "Luffy. Is it really not?" Sami pretended to be regretful and said, "I had already prepared many adventure stories." "Adventure? Sami, have you ever experienced an adventure?" Luffy's eyes lit up with gold. "Well, many. Whether it's fighting pirates, searching for lost treasures, or rescuing oppressed villagers with my friend Sean, it's like 3 days and 3 nights can't be finished." "That's amazing. Sami, that's amazing." Luffy exaggeratedly grew his mouth. "Tell me everything." "Of course, it's just that you're going out to sea tomorrow and there's not enough time, right?" Luffy buttoned his face and said seriously, "Okay, I've made a decision. You come to my boat, Sami. Tell me adventure stories every day from now on, that's how I've decided. Are you inviting me to board the ship? Captain Luffy. Well, Sami, come and be my partner. Sami squinted his eyes. To be honest, as an old Jaime of over a decade, my greatest wish in my past life was to join the great adventure of the Straw Hat Group. Now that I am reborn in the world of One Piece, this wish naturally needs to be realized. Sami looked at Luffy and blinked, saying, sure. That's great. Hey. Do you agree now? Magino said in surprise. Luffy chuckled and said, of course, I'm the man who wants to become the One Piece King, hee. For his first crew member, Luffy showed an extraordinary enthusiasm, inviting Sami to visit his pirate ship as soon as dinner was over, the kind of thing that doesn't work. Sami, who is familiar with the plot, naturally has little interest in a small broken ship, but when his new captain is wrapped around him like candy and moving up and down, Sami feels like he has no other choice. On the way to the seaside, Sami asked, Luffy, I heard you ate the devil's fruit. I'm the rubber man who ate the rubber fruit. Luffy tugged hard at the corner of his mouth, pulling out a terrifying length. Interestingly, it seems that you are very strong. Ha ha ha, my fists are as powerful as a pistol. Luffy didn't even know what modesty was. By the way, Sami, I heard from Magino that you easily defeated a group of pirates just now. How impressive. Where? I heard that guy is a bounty of 3 million Bailey pirates. Sami, how did you do it? Luffy, although I haven't eaten devil's fruit, I have a power that is even more magical than devil's fruit, and this power is not inferior to devil's fruit at all. Sigui, show me, Sami, show me. Luffy raised his hands, excited and unbearable. The power I possess is called the 12 Charms, which can grant me 12 different abilities, but currently I can only use one ability, which is. Sami paused for a moment as Luffy's eyes were about to pop out. Rat Talisman. Sami snapped his fingers and suddenly a living big tiger appeared in mid-air. Roaring up to the sky, strong and intense. The majestic body and sharp claws all tell others that this is a powerful beast. The mouse talisman grants me the ability to summon animals, and I am free to control them in battle. In fact, the ability of mouse talismans is actually to endow non-living beings with life and activity abilities, not any summoning ability at all. But after all, he is facing Luffy, and only by explaining it as summoning ability can he understand it clearly. Looking at Luffy with stars in his eyes, Sami couldn't help but feel a little proud. Although he did not have any abnormal talents and no money to buy devil fruits after his rebirth, he ultimately became the youngest merchant shipmate in the kingdom of Goya, earning the respect of the entire ship's people through the famous 12 talismans. 12 Spell System. Name, Lagna Sami. Already possessed a spell, Rat Spell LV1. Experience gained, 86%. A very simple system. Simple as only 3 lines, simple enough to not even have a voice assistant, but he has been with Sami since his rebirth, giving him great courage and hope. Luffy was already excited and didn't know what to say. His tongue extended out and his mouth kept trembling, and his hands twisted and danced like seaweed. That's amazing, Sami. You guys. Looking at Luffy's surprised gaze, Sami smiled slightly. Since the beginning of Rebirth until now, the only change in this system besides giving itself a mouse spell is the rapidly growing experience bar. It took 23 years to accumulate 81%, and there is no hope of upgrading at all. However, within 2 hours of seeing Luffy, it grew by 5%. Sure enough, if you want to gain experience quickly, you must stay by the protagonist's side. It seems that I will be upgrading soon. Would it be better to upgrade the mouse spell or draw a new one? If you draw a dog charm or a horse charm, wouldn't you be invincible? As soon as Sami thought of that scene, tears of displeasure flowed down his lips. Ha ha ha. Luffy's laughter suddenly woke up Sami, who was addicted to his beautiful dreams. Then he was startled. Because this idiot captain no longer knows when to bite the tiger's tail into his mouth and chew it up. What are you doing, Luffy? Ah. Isn't this meat for eating? No, this is the pet I summoned. Sami was stunned. Ah. What? I thought it was the reserve grain you transformed. Gone. Is that why you were so excited just now? Watching the brain axe struggling desperately and being knocked unconscious by Luffy's punch, Sami immediately threw the excitement from earlier into the air. In the future, I want to get along with a group of perverts. What can I be proud of with such a small achievement? He forced out a smile and said, Luffy, can you first let go of your mouth, and then bite your tail and it will break? Okay, I won't eat it for now. Never want to eat it again. Sami had veins on his forehead. Luffy let go of his mouth and put on his straw hat, then raised his fist and shouted, Yoshi, little ones, move towards the pirate ship. Sami sighed and restored the tiger to a statue, stuffing it into his pocket. Chapter 3, Fans of Sami. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Is this your ship, Captain? Although mentally prepared, when Sami saw Luffy excitedly introducing himself while splashing water outside the boat, he felt that if he didn't hurry, the small boat would sink completely. It's okay, Sami. I'll soon drain all the water. The future Pirate King is full of enthusiasm, rubber drainage machine. Are you sure there's no other way? Don't worry, I've already seen One Piece waving at me. I saw you drowning in the sea, idiot, Sami said. Do you know how dangerous the sea is? Aren't you a dry duck? It's okay, isn't it? Sami said solemnly, Luffy, the great route One Piece is on is called the Devil's Sea. Without a sturdy ship, we wouldn't be able to survive there. Is that right? Luffy tilted his head. It seems like Shanks' boat is really big and sturdy. That's right, whether it's the Red Fox from Shanks or the Oro Jackson from Roger, they are all great ships capable of carrying dreams, Sami said. We must also have a ship like that. Yoxie, it's decided. We'll go find the boat right away. Where else is there time now? What did you do earlier? Sami had a headache. Years later, when Luffy successfully ascended to the throne of One Piece, people attributed this great achievement to Sami's hard work. But only he knew it all because, on this stormy afternoon, he had already made up his mind that except for the One Piece, nothing would be left for Luffy to decide. It's okay, Sami. We can go out to sea and find it slowly. No, if it's on that kind of boat, I'd rather not go out to sea. Sami shuddered at the thought of himself and Luffy staring at each other on that small boat. Come with me, I know where a boat is. Really? Sami, you're really thoughtful. Yeah, I'm ready for everything, I'm just one idiot captain away. Hee, are you talking about me? No, I'm talking about the two of us. Ah. Is Sami often referred to as an idiot? Luffy looked at the sailboat docked at the dock and drooled, that's great. Sami. This ship is amazing. Ah, yes, it's worth 1 million Bailey. Sami handed the heavy bag filled with Bailey to the boatman and then took the transfer document. This series of actions marks that from now on, this single-masted sailboat will belong to Sami. Very good, from now on, I will be the captain, Luffy, standing on the top of the cabin, shouted towards the sea. Okay, it belongs to the Straw Hat Troop. Raleigh. What sins did you say we created in our past life? I have worked hard to accumulate 10 years of salary, and this is all for the world. If someone had told Sami in a past life that a person could use all their savings to fulfill their dreams for a fool they had just known for a few hours, Sami would definitely curse him for being stupid. I can't even make up stories. But now, the silly fork is actually me. Sami walked onto this small sailboat with heavy legs. Although it is small, with a total length of only 7 meters and a drainage capacity of only 50 tons, the Sparrow is small and has all its internal organs. Not only is the ship type very beautiful, it is said to have imitated the Tsangshan ship of the West Sea Flower Country, but it also has a small cabin that can be used to store food and fresh water. "Hey, Luffy, don't capsize the boat," Sami had to remind him as he watched the foolish captain shouting and jumping up and down on the boat. "Well, I got it, Sami. I'll take great care of it," Luffy said, nimbly climbing up the thin mast, causing the small boat to shake. "No matter how you hear this, you don't think it's reliable." "Wow, I see the vast sea, Sami." "Got it. The next step is to fill the cabin with fresh water and food." When Sami thought of Luffy's stomach bag that could never be filled, his head swelled. There's no more Pele on his body. Where are we going to get so much food? Sami looked at Luffy, who was staring at the sea, and rubbed his brow. That kid has always been a king of snacks. It's better to expect pie to fall from the sky than to expect him to be rich. At this moment, a voice interrupted Sami's thoughts. "Excuse me, are you Mr. Sami?" Sami turned around and saw the ship owner who had just sold the boat eagerly watching him, followed by 3 or 4 young men carrying wooden barrels. "This group of people won't be here to pay back the debt, will they?" "I am Sami, Lagna Sami." "Great, it's indeed Mr. Sami," the boatman said excitedly, and several young people behind him also showed an excited expression. "I'm really sorry, Mr. Sami. Due to too much time, I didn't recognize you immediately. If it weren't for the child reminding me, I would have almost made a big mistake." The boatman excitedly spoke, pulling a young man with a dark face and a slender figure down in front of Sami. "This is my immature child, Hog," he said. Hog's face turned red when he heard his father introduce him like this, and he knelt down with a thud, which startled Sami. "Old man, this is..." "Sir, that's right. After all, you are this kid's lifesaver. The life-saving benefactor. If it weren't for you and Lord Sean repelling the pirates back then, our whole family would have died long ago." "Sean?" Sami suddenly realized. Sean is his good friend. When they worked together on the same boat, he was the first mate and he was the second mate. The two of them not only have a good relationship, but also have similar interests, that is, when they see injustice on the road, they shout out and take action when it's time. In addition, the old captain of the merchant ship was also a cheerful and vengeful person, so the two of them often obtained his permission to do some brave and righteous work on the way to business. I believe the boatman's family must be the rescued masses after a brave act of righteousness. Seeing Hog, the sincere child, still kowtowing with a loud bang, Sami quickly pulled him up. "Don't mention it, the young man is quite sturdy." Sami almost didn't pull up. "That was just a gesture, you don't need to be so polite." "No matter what the adults say, our family will never forget it," said the boatman. "We just collected money from you. Hog, this child, has been scolding me a lot. You can count it all here." The boatman took out Sami's money bag and prepared to return it to its rightful owner. "Never, never." Sami decisively refused. He was not someone who offered gifts, and it seemed that this family was not wealthy, so it was even more impossible for him to recover the money. A gentleman loves wealth and takes it wisely. If he wants money, there are plenty of pirate heads waiting for him on the sea. He can definitely do a job as a pirate hunter before being offered a reward. "Sir, this..." The boatman became embarrassed. Sami proposed a solution. "I think your box should contain food and fresh water. If you feel uncomfortable, you can give me some. I'm worried about not having a place to buy food." "That's what we've prepared for you," the boatman laughed and said. "Hog, you just bought a boat and you probably haven't prepared these supplies yet, so let's quickly bring some to give to you." "Oh, this little brother is quite clever." Sami looked at the young man with an approving gaze, which instantly made the revered child's face even redder. "Sir, do you want to build your own caravan when buying a ship? I knew that someone like you, who has the ability, will eventually work alone. After all, no man on the sea wants to be the captain himself. What you said left me speechless. Sami was about to cry without tears. That clumsy guy over there should be your new recruit, he looks very unreliable. Even you can see it, Sami continued to cry bitterly in his heart. Sir, if you really can't find anyone, Hog can help you. Don't worry, no pay, just give him food to eat. I really want to take him, but unfortunately, I'm not the captain. Sami pointed to Fadao, that guy is the captain. Nanny? And I'm no longer a shipowner, I'm now a pirate. The boatman and his family were stunned, and Hog's face changed even more. Sir, how could you, pirate? I know this is unbelievable, but what I have decided on is not to care about others' opinions, Sami said seriously. Of course, I definitely won't be the kind of pirate who harms innocent people. You can see me as a member of the adventure team. This is really surprising. So Hog, you should honestly find a merchant ship to be your assistant, Sami waved to Hog, who was still in shock and had not regained his senses. Luffy, come and move things. Oh, there's so much food. It's great. Come and have a banquet. Luffy said, smashing his hands. Sami tapped his head and said, Fool, this is the reserve of supplies after going out to sea. Don't eat it now. Is that right? But I'm very hungry. Hey, Sami, let's eat the tiger. Hurry up and transform yourself. Never eat my pet, idiot. Sami hit him again. The boatman and his family were all stunned. Isn't Lord Sami really the captain? Shouldn't it be, didn't adults say so? But why did he dare to beat up his own captain? Perhaps Lord Sami is very powerful. After a while, Sami saw Luffy carrying everything onto the boat and walked over to the captain, saying, Everyone, thank you for your food. I hope we can meet again in the future. He gracefully bowed to everyone to thank them, then turned around and left. Wait a moment, Lord Sami. Hog suddenly stood up and shouted at Sami's back, Lord Sami, whether you are a pirate hunter, a pirate, or anything else, it doesn't matter. I will always thank you. Please let me follow in your footsteps. Sami said without looking back, Okay, let's meet on the sea. Okay. Hog looked at Sami's handsome departure with excitement on his face. No one knows that a small seed is sprouting in his heart, and one day it will grow into a towering tree. Chapter 4, Rune Upgrade. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The day of going out to sea has finally arrived. Today is Luffy's 17th birthday, and it's also the day he agreed with Ace and Sabo. Now, the hopeful little sailboat is quietly docked at the dock of Windmill Village, waiting for its owner. Back then, Ace set sail from here. I heard that Cap also set sail from here even further away. Sami's conclusion on this is, the three ancestors and grandchildren are like a bird. Luffy complained to Sami as he carried the box, Hey, Sami, why do you have to carry so many things? You have too many things, right? Shut up. It's not because you've finished all the prepared food, Sami said angrily. Yesterday, the Hog family gave Sami a full 5 barrels of food, with bread, pickled meat, and fruit filling the small cabin. Especially fruits, they have plenty of water. Sami was still thinking that even if Luffy was a big eater, these supplies could hold them until they reached the nearest town. If it's a big deal, you can eat less yourself. Result. One night. Luffy ate all of it. I haven't eaten any of it myself. Livestock. There was no other choice but to take a lot of supplies from Magino and the village chief's house before departure. Really? I'm really amazing, ha ha ha. Luffy laughed heartlessly. Hurry up and move, fill all the cabins. All right. Luffy quickened his steps and acted quickly. Hey, Sami, what's this? It looks like it can't be eaten, right? Luffy held up a small statue and asked Sami. That's the secret weapon I prepared, don't lose it, it's very important. Is that right? Luffy touched his chin. It looks like a swordsman. Is it your friend? No, it's a powerful swordsman from another world, named Ginmu Jinba. I carved it out to play with, Sami said. Because the mouse charm can resurrect various statues for his own use, Sami has stocked up many statues in his daily life for emergencies. Most of them are animals, but there are also some characters, although most of them cannot be summoned due to the low level of the talisman. Swordsman. It looks very powerful, Yoshi. Let's find him as my companion. It's said to be from a different world, how could we possibly find it? What, it turns out to be from a different world, it's not fun at all. Although Luffy didn't understand what a different world was, he still understood the 3 words he couldn't find. So I immediately lost interest. Sami couldn't help but ask, what kind of partner are you looking for? Luffy. Well, musician, this way you can sing, Luffy thought seriously. Shanks and I agreed to find a group of friends to find the big secret treasure together and become the Shanghai Thief King in the future. Just look for 10, there are 9 besides Sami now, said Luffy, turning his finger. Okay, then go to the nearest town of Shells and see if anyone wants to join our pirate gang, Sami said. At this time point, Sauron should be in the same storyline as the original one, in the town of Shells. For soda, Sami is still looking forward to it. After the things were moved, Luffy politely bid farewell to everyone one by one, and then quickly jumped onto the small boat with his straw hat. Sami pulled the sail and said, "We're going, Captain." "Well, Sami, I can't wait anymore." Luffy grinned and said, "Ace, Sabo, I'm coming. I'll be the One Piece." Sami smiled slightly, it seemed that this guy had probably been holding back a lot in recent years. It's hard to imagine Luffy enduring such a long time in Windmill Village. Especially in the 3 years after Sabo feigned death and Ace went to sea again, if it weren't for the promise of going to sea at the age of 17, he might have crawled into a new world. With a swoosh, Sami pulled down the sail, and the sea breeze immediately made it bulge. Then, with the sound of the sea rippling, the small sailboat slowly left the dock and rushed towards the azure blue. "Let's set sail, Captain." Luffy sat obediently on the top of the cabin, where the view was wide and it was the first-class seat he had just booked last night. "Sit still. I know now." Suddenly. Wow! Boom! A huge splash of water suddenly emerged from the seabed, splashing waves up to 7 or 8 meters high. A huge creature emerged from the sea like lightning. Someone on the nearby shore immediately exclaimed, "It's the king of the near sea." "Luffy, danger. Luffy, the adventure is over, hurry home." The anxious shout did not shake Luffy for a moment. He calmly called out, "Sami." "Yes, Captain." How could Sami forget about the first enemy on the way out to sea, the king of the near sea? Just as the king of the nearshore opened his mouth and bit down, the deep sea churned with waves once again. The quick-witted king of the near sea sensed danger and twisted his body to dodge. Wow! The seawater churned violently as if it had been boiled, and with the sharp screams of the king of the near sea, a large handful of crimson blood mixed with white foam emerged from the depths of the water. A massive great white shark, like a ghost, gave a cruel blow to the king of the near sea after lurking. Faced with the king of the near sea, who is several tens of meters in size, this great white shark, which is over 6 meters long, is simply a child. But it was it that not only succeeded in the surprise attack, but also bravely charged towards the furious opponent in excruciating pain. It is the water battle beast Shark 1 summoned by Sami. Sami thinks this name is very domineering. "Oh roar, Skay!" Luffy exclaimed excitedly, "Get rid of it, bye. Don't name my pet casually." Shark 1 collided head-on, and the prepared king of the near sea directly bit into it. Just as it was about to bite, another great white shark suddenly rushed out of the seawater and bit it hard on its neck. Shark 2 successfully launched another surprise attack. Ong! The king of the nearshore exclaimed in pain. Despite being hit hard one after another, it couldn't bear it anymore. It frantically stirred up the seawater, and the waves covered the sky and earth. The little sailboat trembled like a leaf. 2 great white sharks were tossed around by the waves. Sure enough, the fierce monsters on Earth are as weak as a vegetable chicken in the world of One Piece. Even though they have been seriously injured twice, the power of the Sea King's anger cannot be underestimated. Luffy, if you don't take action again, the ship will capsize. Rubber, pistol. The large and long rubber fist quickly extended and fiercely punched the king of the near sea. The huge monster that was making waves and showing off its might was knocked unconscious by this punch. The rubber fist is well deserved. The unconscious king of the nearshore fell straight into the sea, throwing a huge spray of water. 2 great white sharks, who were originally swimming on the side, seized the opportunity and immediately pounced on it. The sea quickly rolled, and blood, foam, and deep blue mixed together in an instant. Painfully hitting water dogs is their specialty. Almost at the same time, Sami heard a clear, ding, sound in his mind. He only heard this kind of voice in the moment of rebirth. He waited for 23 years for this kind of voice. This kind of sound is the sound of happiness filled with experience bars in the talisman system. Sami immediately turned on the system. The 12 charm system. Name, Sami. Already possessed a spell, Rat Spell LV1. Experience bar, 0%. Experience star, 1 star. There it is. Experience star. Whether it's upgrading existing spells or unlocking new ones, it finally appears as an experience star. 23 years have passed. Do you know how I spent these 23 years? Upgrade the rat spell immediately. Sami almost roared out. With Sami's command, an existing experience star immediately shattered into fragments, and then LV1 behind the mouse spell instantly became LV2. A new explanation has appeared. Rat Rune LV2. You can resurrect and control 3 ancient species and 10 ordinary species. You can resurrect and control characters of ordinary levels. You can restore some modern items. Ancient species. Characters. Modern items. Everything excites Sami immensely. Calm down, this is not the time. Sami took 3 deep breaths and held back his restless heart. This kind of thing, no matter how dark the moon and high the wind, behind the trees and in the corners of the wall. He cleared his mind and slowly regained consciousness. Luffy remained motionless at the bow of the ship. What's wrong, Captain? Are you lamenting that you defeated your first opponent? Sami joked happily. Luffy turned his head, his eyes shining with gold, and his saliva flowing profusely. Sami, shark meat, I want to eat. Shut up. Fool. Chapter 5, Iron Rod Pirates. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Starting from Windmill Village, it is approximately a 6 to 7 day journey from Shell's town. This distance is not too far on the sea. Sami followed a merchant ship back in the day and once traveled as far as the island of Susu, which was 50 days away from the kingdom of Goya. That time was truly thrilling. Storms, water shortages, hunger, and the deadliest killer on the sea, loneliness. The sea is full of excitement and adventure, just like a certain island movie, which has fatal temptations for all restless teenagers during adolescence. But when you stare at only one movie for years without fast-forwarding, even the most exciting plot will make you feel nauseous and nauseous. The sea is the same. Before encountering an island, all you can see is blue forever. Blue. Blue. Bored to the extreme. At least that's how some idiot is now. Hula, hula, hula. He reached into the seawater, ready to fish for sea kings. Ah la 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 la. This is him with his mouth wide open and his tongue extended, feeling the rhythm of the wind. Finally. Hey Sami, how did you sail the ship? It's been 7 days and you haven't seen the island yet. It's all your fault. Sami clenched his fist, suppressing the urge to hit someone. As the captain, I have to say a few words about you. Shut up. I'm really bored now. Hurry up and call out your long mouth to play with me. It's not a toy, you bastard. Sami said angrily, pounding the boat gang. After leaving Windmill Village, Sami held the helm for 2 days until the 3rd day when he couldn't hold on anymore, so he let Luffy hold the helm for a while. And he was also sternly warned not to deviate from the map and not to rush up when he saw something fun. Luffy agreed very decisively, he was interested in steering at that time. Then Sami went to sleep. Then Sami woke up. When the small sailboat shakes violently. When the ship's hull is already half full of water. It turned out that this fool had developed a strong interest in a vortex in the sea shortly after Sami fell asleep, so he directly sailed past it. As is well known, where there are eddies on the sea, there will be reefs, and where there are reefs, shipwreck events will occur. Fortunately, Sami was quick-witted and quickly summoned an ancient dragon king whale to pull the ship, thus avoiding the tragedy of ship destruction and human death. After escaping from the underwater reefs, Sami spent 3 days trying to find his original route and all the way trying to correct Luffy's nickname for his new pet. Its name is Ba Wang, not Long Mouth, you bastard. But I think a long mouth sounds better. What's your concern? What, how stingy? Luffy pouted and turned his head to one side, showing disdain for Sami's stingy behavior. Suddenly, he extended his arm and jumped onto the mast. Oh, roar, I saw the ship, Sami. Ah. Where is it? Look. Following the direction indicated by Luffy, Sami saw 2 black dots. Isn't it far? Let me take a look. Sami raised his telescope and indeed saw 2 ships engaged in battle. Rather than being at war, it's more like a merchant ship being beaten up by another pirate ship. Swan bow, pink hull, love skull flag, isn't this the pirate ship of Iron Bar Alrita? Sami exclaimed in surprise, can we also encounter this? Isn't it a coincidence? Sami thought that the plot had deviated due to himself in this life, and he should not encounter the Iron Rod pirates again. However, he did not expect to return to the original track now. It's a pirate ship, Luffy. Pirate ship? With a golden star in their eyes. A bounty of 5 million bellies. Iron Rod Alrita, a famous pirate in the East China Sea. Great! Sami, move towards the pirate ship. With a command from Luffy, Sami turned the bow of the boat and rushed over. A pirate with a bounty of 5 million belly, even Sami has encountered it for the first time. It should be noted that the average bounty in the East China Sea is only 3 million. In the past, those pirates who offered hundreds of thousands of bounties, Sami could easily solve them with LV1 level mouse spells without any effort. Since the spell has been upgraded this time, it's perfect to experiment with new abilities. Alrita, the only blame can be on yourself for being unlucky in bringing it to your doorstep, Sami murmured to herself, you promised a good woman, but her nickname is Iron Stick. How can you make all the men in the East China Sea feel embarrassed? Sami can't wait to see the battle between the flexible rubber and the hard iron rod. Quickly, the small boat made a beautiful arc and stopped steadily next to the pink pirate boat. Its huge shadow covered the small sailboat like a mountain. Luffy, be careful. The pirate is here. The captain, who was holding back his madness, shot his right hand like an arrow and suddenly swung onto the pirate ship, disappearing without a trace. Why am I such a smart person to stand up with such a reckless captain? Someone said with a headache. He calmly parked the small boat, lowered the anchor, and then aimed his right hand at the opposite side of the boat. Mouse spell, rope spear. A iron hook with a rope climbed out and firmly hooked onto the hull of the ship. Sami exerted force and the rope gun in his hand quickly contracted, leading him up at lightning speed. Soon, he flipped over and stepped steadily on the deck. The entire deck was unusually quiet. Four thick ropes extended from this ship to the opposite merchant ship, tightly connecting the two ships together. There's not a single person. It seems that the pirates have all gone to the opposite side to rob. Sami smiled slightly. Since you're going to rob someone else, let me rob you. Luffy's meal expenses have not been settled yet. Sami dug in his pocket. Rat spell, revolver. Rat talisman, cruel lion. A revolver appeared in Sami's hand. A massive prehistoric monster appeared around Sami. The brutal lion, also known as the North American mimetic lion, is the largest feline animal in history, weighing nearly 400 kilograms and measuring nearly 2 meters in length. It is a true top predator in the food chain. Watching this fierce gentleman surround him like a guard, Sami felt full of confidence. He does not allow any negligence until he has drawn a spell that directly strengthens himself. With a wave of Sami's left hand, the ferocious lion immediately rushed out, and its keen sense of smell would alert Sami if there were any enemies nearby. Sami held his gun and walked straight towards the cabin on the deck. Let me think, in the original plot, Nami found the treasure in a lower warehouse, and there seems to be a guard. Sami opened the door and walked into the cabin. This pirate ship is not my own small sailboat. The cabin is large enough, and at a glance, there are at least 7 or 8 rooms. The 4 rooms at the entrance should be the crew room. Sami opened one door and quickly retreated. It's too smelly, it's like a mixture of smelly socks, stinky fart, and vomit. Sami almost didn't vomit. Because fresh water on the ship is precious enough to be used for bathing, and coupled with the almost non-existent hygiene habits of the pirates, once the sailing time is too long, the smell in the cabin can be considered toxic gas. Sami skipped the crew room and walked deep, quickly stopping at a door. The cruel lion is standing in front of the door, bowing down and making an attacking posture. There is someone behind the door. This is a very obvious judgment. Sami pouted. The cruel lion extended its big paw and pressed the doorknob. Die, invade. Ah. Deshiji. A pirate holding a long sword perfectly presents a transformation from ferocity to surprise and then to fear in his expression. Hey, Sami gave a cruel smile and immediately fired his revolver. First kill completed. The sound of gunfire immediately alarmed the two remaining pirates. They rushed out from different places with long knives and firearms. Sami fired another shot and took one directly away. The person holding the gun took a slight step back, then immediately reacted and raised the gun. Ah! He immediately let out a scream. The cruel lion, who had been waiting on the side for a long time, pounced on him and suddenly knocked him out. Blood gurgled out. The cruel lion, who smelled the smell of blood, immediately became restless. Sami waved his hand, meaning to pull down the outside to eat and not dirty the ship. The cruel lion let out a low roar, grabbed the body in one bite, and rushed out in just a few steps. After killing people and smuggling goods, there is no need to worry about the body. This business is done very well. Sami smiled and pointed his gun at the half-open hatch in front of him, with a gentle tone. So, Miss Beauty hiding inside, do you want to eat a gun or a lion? Chapter 6, Playing with Nami. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Don't shoot, whoa. A girl with orange hair and an amazing figure immediately walked out of the warehouse. I saw her crying and trembling, with a frightened expression on her face. People who are unaware of the situation will definitely treat her as a frightened and weak girl, thus relaxing their vigilance. But Sami didn't fall for it. As a little thief cat who dared to make a promise to save the village with the mermaid dragon at the age of 10 and then stole all the ships, Nami is not the kind of little girl who is easily scared to cry. "Big brother, are you the hero who came to save me?" Nami opened her innocent and watery eyes, deceiving Sami with a look of admiration. "I was kidnapped, you scared me to death." She approached as she spoke. "Ah, I'm here to save you, beautiful lady," Sami deliberately said. "Great. Big brother is really handsome, especially when you shoot, you look like a knight." Nami continued to deceive Sami, getting closer step by step. "A man like you. There are still 3 steps left. Not only kind but also powerful. There are still 2 steps left. I really love you so much. There is still 1 step left. Big brother. Approaching. Go to hell, garbage pirates." Nami suddenly extended her long legs and kicked toward Sami's crotch fiercely and quickly. She had already shown a victorious smile on her face, and this ruthless move of seducing and then abstaining from lust had been tried and tested repeatedly in the past decade. Sami, who was already prepared, immediately closed his knees. Although it was blocked, the crisp sound still gave Sami goosebumps all over. This girl, this is a desperate move. Suddenly hit by this move, even Kaido has to scream, right? Seeing the opponent actually block her own deadly blow, Nami suddenly turned pale and was about to step back, but Sami grabbed her arm and the pistol instantly lifted up. "Big brother, I was wrong. I thought you were a pirate, Nami immediately began to explain. "Don't play tricks, Miss Nami. I know you very well." Suddenly being named by the other party, Nami immediately became frightened. "How do you know my name? Who doesn't know the famous little thief cat? I heard you're a thief who specializes in stealing pirate treasures." Sami smiled. "Now your backpack doesn't have all the treasures in it, right?" "No, how could it be? These are all girls' personal belongings, haha." Nami laughed more and more awkwardly. Sami snapped his fingers, and the pet ferocious lion plopped back from outside the cabin, with a large patch of blood-red residue on the corners of its mouth and faint fragments of meat. Sami pointed to Nami's backpack and said, "Search it." Roar. "Wait a minute." Nami raised her palm. "This is all the treasure I found inside, here it is for you." She instantly threw her backpack onto the ground, and the heavy package made a loud bang as it landed. Crisp and neat. A hero does not suffer immediate losses. "Can I go now?" Nami forced herself to hold back her heartache and said. "No problem." Sami and the cruel lion immediately gave way. Nami clenched her fist and walked over angrily, whispering, "Stinky pirate, damn it, what bad luck." "Wait a moment," Sami's faint voice came. Someone's pupils immediately turn white. "I suspect you still have Bailey hidden on you. Big brother, how could this be? Look at me wearing so little, how can I hide things?" Sami's playfulness surged. For some reason, he always wanted to play a prank on the first force of the Straw Hat Squad, the underground captain, and the female demon head who easily grasped Lucra. He showed an outstanding expression of a starving ghost and said, "I suspect there is loot in your chubby body. I want to have a body search." Yamaro. Nami immediately became furious and punched Sami directly on the head. "Shit. It hurts so much." Sami felt a severe pain coming from his head. Is this the power to beat the entire ship? Armed color dominance is nothing more than that. "I'm sorry, please leave." "I was wrong," Sami said, holding back her tears. "Really, it's so impolite," Nami said fiercely, strode forward, and as she passed by the cruel lion, she let out a loud roar and kicked hard. "Get out of the way, lecherous lion." The cruel lion trembled and wanted to cry without tears. "I stepped on my horse to provoke anyone." Sure enough, it was Nami. After getting angry, both humans and animals died within a radius of 10 meters. Watching Nami leave, Sami shook her head. He never thought about how to treat Nami. As an indispensable member of the Straw Hat Troop, Sami believes that one day we will meet again. As for kidnapping Nami and leaving her behind now. Are you joking? Let's leave this rude thing to the foolish captain. Moreover, even if Nami stayed, it would still be unstable until Along was resolved. Shaking his head, Sami picked up his backpack from the ground, and the heavy grip made his eyes sparkle. Heavy, too heavy. The Iron Rod pirates have been raiding the East China Sea in recent years, seizing many treasures. Although they have spent a lot, there are also many who have survived. Sami opened his backpack and took a visual inspection. There were at least 3 million belly coins alone, as well as more gold jewelry and other items, golden crowns, golden wine glasses, pearl necklaces, and gemstone jewelry, all piled up in a mess. Not bad, full of harvest, Sami said with satisfaction. Although at least 2/3 of this will be spent on Luffy's meals, the rest will belong to oneself. What should I buy? Sami yearned. Food? Weapons? Alcohol? Medicine? Wait. I don't seem to have anything to buy. Damn it. Am I so selfless? Sami wanted to cry without tears. I don't seem to have any needs at all. Neither the Big Belly King nor the drunkard, sword fool, nor any village to save. If this were still on Earth, I would have to buy some game consoles, a handmade wife, sneakers, comics. But in this world, there seems to be nothing I like. It's such a failure. After earning money, I don't even know how to spend it. This is the most painful thing, right? Sami put on his backpack in disappointment and slowly walked out. The remaining rooms don't need to be searched anymore, he believes in Nami's cleaning ability. On the other side, on the robbed merchant ship. Hey, Kirby, who is this rude ant? Luffy asked with an innocent expression on his face. Those who heard it were all stunned. Ah. What is this guy talking about? Not good, the boss's face has changed. KB immediately sweated profusely, his hands dancing wildly, wanting Luffy to retract the sentence, Mr. Luffy. Damn it, you guy. Alita, who was chubby, lifted her huge iron rod and hammered it hard. Luffy immediately dodged sensitively, then pulled Kirby and easily jumped out of the hole onto the wide deck of the passenger ship. The minions, who had been waiting for a long time, immediately rushed forward, but were soon flipped over by Luffy's teasing. Hey, you guy, have you eaten the devil's fruit? Erida, who missed a hit, asked when she saw Luffy's limbs stretching wildly. Well, I'm eating rubber fruits. Really, so you think you can defeat me? Are you a bounty hunter? No, I'm a pirate. Pirates? Are you the only one? No, he's not alone. Suddenly, a strange voice came from the side. Alrita immediately turned her head. I saw a young man carrying a huge backpack, standing on the railing of the passenger ship. Luffy complained, Sami, why did you come? You're too slow, aren't you? Sorry, I was just looking for the treasure. Treasure? Yes, I have taken all the treasures on their ship. Ah. So Sami, are you a thief? Luffy suddenly realized. Bastard. You dare to snatch my treasure, little ones, catch them all and kill them all. Erida was furious. It's unforgivable that you dare to play the game of praying mantis catching cicadas with me like an iron rod. Sami flexibly jumped off the railing and then blew a whistle. Roar. The massive and brutal lion immediately charged forward and fiercely charged towards the pirates. Ah, Deshiji. Everyone was running around in a hurry. As she watched her subordinates being chased and urinating, Erida immediately swung her big iron rod and hammered toward Sami. Damn it, don't underestimate me. But. Rubber, pistol. The fierce rubber fist instantly hit Erida's body, with a huge impact that flew her out like a shooting star, disappearing in the blink of an eye. Indeed, a hard iron rod cannot compare to a flexible rubber. Chapter 7, Each pirate is worth 50,000 Baileys. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Alrita, big sister. Is this the power of the devil's fruit? Damn it, avenge the boss. Roar. I'm joking. The cruel lion let out a roar, and all the little servants knelt down to beg for mercy. Sami pointed to the cow beetle on the ground and asked, "Hey, Luffy, what do they do?" Luffy burst out laughing and said, "What should we do next? Of course it's a banquet." "Hello. What should I do with these people?" "I want to eat meat, Sami, go prepare it quickly." "Fool. Are you listening to me?" Sami supported his head, feeling a headache. "Forget it, kill them all." "Don't do it. Damn it, I fought against you. Little devil, don't underestimate us." The subordinates were furious and thought that surrendering could save their lives, but they didn't expect to end up dying. They wielded knives and guns and rushed over, ready to fish to death and break through the net. These guys are all hands stained with blood, each carrying a murder case, and they are all decisive in killing and attacking. Roar. The cruel lion let out a loud roar and jumped over, knocking down the one with the loudest roar and tearing it in half. With a bloody and brutal mouth and fangs, it is chilling. Ah! We surrender and are at your disposal. Please don't kill us, we are willing to be your cow and horse. Captain, take me as your subordinate. I promise to be loyal. Sure enough, surrendering is still decisive in killing. Please wait a moment. KB suddenly exclaimed, although he still looked very afraid of Sami, he bravely said, "Mr. Sami, could you please not kill them?" These people just robbed a merchant ship and killed a lot of people, Sami asked KB with great interest. Aren't you getting along with them for too long and developing feelings? KB, I didn't expect you to be so sentimental. I won't hit you again. Thank you, Kirby. A group of scumbags who used to not treat Kirby like a person now almost treat Kirby like an angel. No, it's not, KB said seriously. I aspire to become a naval person. The Navy and pirates are at odds. But even pirates, killing them at will is not right. Although I am not familiar with Mr. Sami, since Mr. Luffy is your captain, you should be a good person like him and never indiscriminately kill innocent people. I don't beg you to spare these villains who have killed people, but I implore you to hand them over to the Navy for trial. Not only can this deter other pirates, but you can also get a generous reward. Isn't this a win-win solution? Good guy, he deserves to be a man who dares to act like a red dog-mouthed cannon. He hasn't even become a Shanghai army yet, and his mouthed cannon strength is so profound. Sami scratched his head and felt that Kirby's words had some truth. If he were to let go of these garbage, Sami would definitely not agree. Because these people deserve to die. The original work of One Piece rarely presents bloody and violent scenes such as death and slaughter due to consideration of the age of the readership. But Sami is in the real world, a world of slaves, pirates, corrupt officials, and scientific oddities. Killing never stops. Just like this robbery, in the original work, the pirates only fired a few shots, then climbed up the rope and charged up. Afterwards, the camera focused on Luffy, without much description of their atrocities. But in the real world, what Sami saw with his own eyes was indeed a ship full of corpses, the elderly, women, children. Everyone was brutally killed. Including some women who were insulted before they died. So, Sami has always had a conclusion: some navies are livestock, 99% pirates are livestock, and the Tianlong people are all livestock. Livestock should be severely punished. Are you saying that handing them over to the Navy can earn a bounty? But apart from Alita, it seems that none of them have been offered a bounty. Will the Navy pay? Yes, Mr. Sami. KB was very excited when he saw Sami's relaxed attitude. For those members of the pirate group who were not offered a reward, the Navy will give each person a unified reward of 50,000 belly. Really? It's absolutely true. 2. Oh no, not good. Sami was about to cheer when he suddenly shouted again. KB was immediately frightened and trembled. Mr. Sami. I killed a total of 4, which is a waste of 200,000 Bailey. Sami knocked his head in frustration. Mr. Sami, you. Kirby didn't know if he should cry or laugh. Since that's the case, then we'll do as you say. Sami clapped his hands and asked you to tie them all up with a rope instead of letting any of them run away. Yes, Mr. Sami. Use ropes to tie our small boat and pirate boat together. I think this boat should be very valuable and can be sold on the next island. No problem, Mr. Sami. After finishing these, go and steer for me, the target is the nearest town of shells. Okay, Mr. Sami. KB is full of enthusiasm, and he feels like a full naval soldier when he takes orders. Just in case, Sami also had the cruel lion accompany him to deal with the prisoners, which made KB both scared and happy. Mr. Sami, thank you for respecting my opinion. I am really grateful, KB said sincerely. I didn't expect Sami to be so strong but easy to speak. It seems that Mr. Luffy's companions are all very good people. It's nothing, as long as it's the right opinion, I will listen to it. Mr. Sami. KB looked at the man in front of him with reverence, full of emotion. Mr. Sami is really great, unlike me, who is both timid and cowardly. Even when facing Erida, he dare not resist at all. Don't say that, you're not bad either. Sami looked at the short and disheveled pink hair in front of him, feeling a surge of emotion in his heart. Who would have thought that this guy was the one with the most protagonist aura in One Piece? I have only been separated from Luffy for a few months. I have grown taller and more handsome, and my eyes are not nearsighted anymore. I have even learned 2 of the 6 styles. During the period of war at the top, it was even more awakening, taking less than a year. People die more than they do. You have to throw away goods when comparing them. Really? KB, who received Sami's affirmation, was overjoyed. Does Mr. Sami really think so? Well, I can see that you have a courage in your heart. As long as you make up your mind, you will definitely achieve something. Thank you for your encouragement, Mr. Sami. To be honest, my dream is actually... KB was hesitant to express his dream, afraid of being laughed at by others. KB's dream is to become a naval general. Hee hee. Mr. Luffy. KB hugged his head and expressed special shame at Luffy for expressing his wishes. It's over, Mr. Sami will mock me. How could someone like me have such a dream? Oh, that's a great wish, isn't it, Luffy? Well, my wish is to become the One Piece King, Sami. I know that. Sigh. Have I mentioned it before? Say it every day. Hee hee, is that right? Sami and Luffy started arguing again. On the side, KB not only did not mock Sami, but also praised his dream for being remarkable. This made KB, who had lived in fear and ridicule for the past few years, seem to see new hope. Mr. Sami, it's really too gentle. Pink hair was already in tears. Hey, Kirby, hurry up and take the helm. We still have to rush to the town of shells. Alright, Mr. Sami, KB replied loudly, what are you going to do in Shell's town? Find the pirate hunter Sauron, Luffy wants him to be our companion. What? KB was shocked, impossible, impossible, absolutely impossible. Bang! Pain! Mr. Luffy, why are you hitting me? I don't know, I can't help it. Chapter 8, Premature Death. Pirates are robbing the Navy. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The peaceful port of Shell's town was disrupted today. A pink pirate ship slowly sailed into the port, startling nearby residents. Those with some knowledge could tell at a glance that it was the flagship of the famous pirate Iron Rod Errata in the East China Sea. Are you joking? How dare the pirates come in boldly? Hurry up and notify the Navy. Everyone, run quickly. Pirates are coming. Countless people ran away in panic, and in an instant, the once bustling market became deserted and desolate. Ahahaha, these people are really interesting. Luffy stood at the bow of the ship, heartless laughing. KB whispered on the other side, Mr. Luffy, it seems like we scared them. Is that right? Are we? Well, we. Sauron. I'm here to find you as a companion. Before Kirby could finish speaking, Luffy took a quick step and flew out, leaving thick smoke rolling down the ground. This guy doesn't wait for anyone to finish speaking. Sami parked the boat and saw Luffy rushing out, chuckling. It's okay, Mr. Sami. KB, I reckon Luffy must have gone to the naval base. Can you help me go and watch over him? Don't let him do anything foolish. Me. KB was sweating profusely. Does Sami think his small body can stop Luffy? It's okay, you just need to catch this guy when he falls into the sea, don't worry about anything else, Sami patted Kirby's shoulder. There are no creatures on this island that can harm Luffy. Okay, Mr. Sami, what are you going to do? Of course we're going to receive the reward, Sami said with a smile. So new wonders quickly appeared on the street. A young man walked ahead, searching for something while walking. He was holding a thick hemp rope in his hand, with a string of disheartened pirates tied to it, pacing forward step by step with the young man. KB said that in order to exchange bounty for bounty hunters, the Navy will set up bounty offices near the ports of each base to facilitate business operations. Sami muttered to himself as he walked, there will be signs of guns, swords, and gold coins hanging at the door for me to see. I found them. A standalone white-walled and black-roofed small house appeared in Sami's eyes, different from the traditional navy blue and white color scheme. The color scheme of the bounty office made people feel solemn and dignified at first glance. The two guards at the door, upon seeing Sami's family-like demeanor, immediately faced a formidable enemy and raised their firearms. Stop! Who is that? This is the naval office, all idle people are retreating. After all, he came to collect the money. Sami quickly smiled gently and said, Don't be nervous, sir. I'm here to collect the bounty. Bounty? The two guards were momentarily stunned, then glanced at each other and smiled maliciously. Welcome, little brother. You caught so many pirates in one go, young man. Your strength is really amazing. Come on in quickly, you've come to Sheltstown right now. That's right. Our base commander, Colonel Monka, is the most fair and strict, and he enjoys dealing with bounty hunters. Yes. The two of them sang and reconciled, as if they were human traffickers who abducted ignorant girls. With a few moves, they pushed and pulled Sami into the bounty office. The two older brothers are too enthusiastic, I feel a bit embarrassed, Sami said with a happy smile. I will definitely come back next time. Next time? You didn't. One guard was about to say something when he was immediately interrupted by another. That's right. You should come again next time, little brother. Yes, come again next time. We always welcome you. Surrounded by two people, Sami walked into the house. I saw that this area is quite large, divided into 2 floors, with a total of 6 business windows and more than 10 temporary detention cells for prisoners. There is a separate open office in the middle, and a naval branch lieutenant colonel is sitting cross-legged on a comfortable sofa chair, smoking cigars and drinking red wine. Colonel Pants, we have guests. The 2 guards shouted as soon as they entered the door, closing it. Upon hearing these words, the whole house fell silent, and everyone stopped their work and rushed towards this side, their faces full of enthusiasm. From the way they raised their guns and knives, Sami felt that they welcomed him very much. Major Ping stood up slowly and walked up to Sami. He looked at the thin and weak young man again and confirmed that he was just an ordinary person without any threat. His attitude immediately relaxed. With a hint of contempt, Major Pants counted the prisoners brought by Sami and asked, "Why didn't you see Captain Pirate?" "Oh, that woman has escaped." "Humph." Colonel Ping's face showed a hint of dissatisfaction when he heard Sami say this. Xiao Wen reported immediately. A total of 21 pirates were arrested in this operation, but the enemy captain took advantage of the situation and fled, but did not catch them. If the leader of the opponent is not captured in a battle, the military achievements will at least double. No wonder Pins is dissatisfied with this. "Yes, Major," a naval captain wearing glasses and looking quite gentle immediately replied. "Not only that, but we also captured each other's ships," Sami said with a show of confidence. "What?" Ping Si, who was about to go back and continue tasting the red wine, immediately stopped when he heard it. No wonder he was surprised. If he wanted to capture the enemy's ship on the sea, it meant that his side not only had to be strong, but also had to act quickly. Otherwise, the enemy would either choose to escape or choose to sink the ship. "That's right, just stop at the port. Hey, send someone to receive the ship immediately, Xiao Wen, and capture the other party's flagship," said Ping excitedly. Submitting the complete pirate ship is a great achievement. Immediately, someone excitedly ran out to check. Sami said seriously, "Sir, you see that I have also given the prisoners and the pirate ship. Shouldn't you pay me the bounty?" "Bounty? What kind of bounty?" This guy is still thinking about the bounty. Hey, look at his innocent smiling face, I'm going to laugh to death. Sami grinned and showed his shiny white teeth. "Are you all trying to renege on me by saying such things?" Colonel Ping looked at Sami and suddenly said fiercely, "He's a pirate, get him." The navy was already impatiently waiting, and as soon as they heard the commander's order, they immediately rushed forward. "Hey, I actually encountered a situation where black eats black," Sami joked to himself. In this situation, the fool also knew what the navy wanted to do. Sami had already guessed everything at the door. He knows so well what kind of person Monka is, and these two guards can confidently claim that he is fair and just, which shows that he is not a serious navy. Moreover, upon hearing Major Ping's words upon entering the door, Sami was even more certain of his speculation. What is arrest? Shouldn't it be receiving? It seems that the navy wants to monopolize it. No wonder Monka was promoted to the rank of branch colonel in 3 years after being arrested and appointed as a second lieutenant in fake cloth, and his promotion speed was almost as fast as that of future Kirby. It seems that it's all because it swallowed up the credit of the bounty hunter. Are you really not planning to pay? Go to hell and ask for money, little devil. More than 10 navies rushed forward with knives, and 3 or 4 were about to shoot with pistols. Sami shrugged helplessly, waved his right hand, and 3 huge beasts jumped out of nowhere. Rat Talisman, Cruel Lion. Rat Rune, Titan Python. Rat Charm, Emperor Crocodile. As soon as the 3 fierce beasts emerged, they immediately overwhelmed the entire audience with their majestic, cruel and bloody aura. What is this? Monster. Run. That kid summoned an ancient beast. It must be the power of the devil's fruit. A group of navies were flustered by this sudden change, and they all turned pale. The timid ones had already fled with their heads in their arms. Chapter 9, Slaughter of the Navy. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. Faced with the collapse of morale and the fleeing subordinates, Pants instantly displayed his composure and demeanor as a naval lieutenant colonel. For the sake of justice. Don't panic, everyone, fight back on the spot. He shouted loudly, cover my retreat. I'll go notify Colonel Monka. Are you trying to escape? Sami sneered. As a person of Monka, if Ping Si dares to flee and report, he will definitely receive the same treatment as Cap. No one can leave today, but I want to go on a killing spree. Sami Xie chuckled and snapped his finger. 3 fierce beasts immediately launched and pounced on their prey. The brutal lion moves the fastest, and as a feline, it has an innate agility, jumping and dodging bullets and knives, and entering the enemy's interior. Next is the wild dance of fangs and claws, blood splattering and limbs splattering everywhere. The Titan python is the slowest of the 3, with its head raised and each dive taking away a lucky viewer and swallowing them alive. Survivors can even hear the screams inside its belly. Only the emperor crocodile is calm and steady, and every time it opens its mouth, it must swallow an enemy alive without even chewing. Sami held hands and watched the scene in chaos, with no expression on his face. Because these guys in front of me are not worthy of sympathy. They are used to bullying and killing countless bounty hunters in their daily lives. Now that feng shui is taking turns, they are also about to die tragically. What a fate. Don't panic, everyone immediately gather towards me. The captain named Xiao Wan saw that he couldn't escape and immediately decided to organize his troops to prepare for a counterattack. The fundamental difference between a navy and a pirate is that their discipline is completely different, even for a scumbag navy. Upon hearing the commander's order, a portion of the navy began to gather together, and soon the majority of the navy also began to gather. We can't let them gather, Sami immediately judged. Once the navy forms a formation and has command, it will become very tricky. At least a dozen firearms were fired together, and the power was still astonishing. Both pets and oneself will be threatened. Sami immediately commanded 3 fierce beasts to charge up and disrupt their formation, sending even the emperor crocodile who had been protecting him. Xiao Wan immediately shouted, "Fire immediately!" Bang! The sound of gunfire echoed in unison. The emperor crocodile immediately turned around and used its solid back skin to resist the attack for the others. Although the bullet pierced into its skin like sand, leaving a few bloodstains, fortunately it was not a fatal injury. Maintain formation and continue shooting. Bang! The emperor crocodile let out a painful howl. Sami immediately shouted, "Cruel lion, jump over." Roar! The brutal lion received an order and jumped out from behind the emperor crocodile, falling straight in front of the naval formation. Xiao Wen's face changed drastically and he said, "Step back quickly." It's too late, the ferocious lion is extremely fast, and as soon as it breaks into the formation, it begins to kill with a thud. Don't panic, raise your sword and fight with me. Xiao Wen shouted loudly, wielding his knife and charging forward. A part of the fierce and fearless navy also rushed forward. It's useless. Sami immediately controlled the emperor crocodile and titan python to press on. The fate of the navy's failure has been predetermined. Sami put his hands in his pockets, with a victorious posture in his grasp. Don't underestimate us, you bastard. A sudden roar of anger came. Colonel Pants, who had been ignored all along, rushed out at some point and raised his sword straight toward Sami. You look very weak, this guy. Ping Si shouted loudly. Sami widened his eyes and was at a loss. Who would have thought that this guy didn't take advantage of the chaos and escape? Although Ping Si is only a branch lieutenant colonel, his strength is also solid. Even by the standards of the Navy headquarters, he has the strength of a captain in the headquarters. Don't think that the rank of captain in this department is low. You should know that his strength is not weak, even if you look at the entire East China Sea, he is still a master. After all, the internal training of the Navy is extremely strict, and even the amount of training received by the main staff is not affordable for ordinary people on Earth. Angry Ping Si was like a truck crashing over. He saw the panic on Sami's face, his heart was filled with joy, and a cruel expression appeared on his face. As expected, Sami's reaction was like that of an ordinary person with no strength in his hands, who could only stand foolishly in the face of danger. Die for me. The Navy suffered heavy losses, and without killing Sami, he could not account to the cruel Monka. Ah! Da. A rapid gunshot rang out. Ping Si fell to the ground in an instant, and the body slid out on the ground, dragging bloodstains all over. Sami was holding a Chicago typewriter, with a cold expression on his face, and a faint smoke wafted out from the muzzle. Winner winner chicken dinner. A cold voice echoed in the room. The Navy, which was still struggling in the corner, immediately dispersed like birds and beasts, and no matter how much Xiao Wen shouted, it was of no use. Sami let go and let his little pets chase the deserter, while he slowly walked towards Ping's office. The intense screams around him made his mood increasingly better. Quickly, he found a key from Ping's desk and poked it at the lock of the safe. With a click, the door slowly opened, and the golden and green banknotes immediately caught his eye. Make money. Sami shouted, grabbed the money and stuffed it into the prepared bag. Drawing a skull with a face value of 10,000, a bear with a face value of 5,000, and a rabbit with a face value of 1,000, Sami skillfully bagged everything. After he finished his work, there was already an eerie silence in the room. Just as Sami retrieved the 3 pets that were gnawing on the corpses. The crisp sound of the system reminded him in his mind, indicating that after this major killing, his experience bar had reached 35% and he was getting closer and closer to the next upgrade. Plus carrying a full 4 million Bailey on his back, Sami felt like he immediately became wider. It's time to go find Luffy. I don't know if he has taken care of Sauron or not. Sami's heart was filled with excitement to see Sauron at the moment. Just as he lifted his leg and walked forward, a bloody hand suddenly grabbed his pants leg. Sami was startled and lowered his head to see that it was still Xiao Wen who had not died. Why? What and why? Sami was very strange. Colonel Monka, I won't let you go. But you can't see it either, Sami said seriously. You. Xiao Wen was furious to death. Sami shook his head. He doesn't actually kill indiscriminately. Compared to the people he killed, he saved more people. Whether it's the Hog family or others, I don't know how many people on the sea have received his life-saving grace. But this does not mean that his Virgin Mary, the White Lotus, will only die faster in the world of pirates without legal control. Even Luffy is not the Virgin Mary. For those who dislike and should be killed, Sami will not hesitate to kill them all. Even if they die, Sami will let his pets eat their bodies. Having traveled for over 20 years, gone through so many things, and witnessed so many tragedies and disasters caused by pirates and the Navy, Sami is no longer his original values. The only constant, perhaps, is not bullying innocent people and not doing evil. This is Sami's bottom line, and it is also the reason why he chose to join the Straw Hat Gang. When Sami arrived at the tavern in the town of Shells, he saw Luffy eating wildly. KB sat aside, along with a man with green hair and 3 knives pinned around his waist, exuding a dangerous aura. Mr. Sami, Kirby stood up excitedly. Mr. Luffy has really recruited Mr. Sauron as a partner. I know this guy will succeed. Sami smiled and placed the backpack behind him on the table. What is this, Mr. Sami? 4 million Baileys. 4 million. KB shouted, startling both Luffy and Sauron, and they suddenly stopped eating. Yes. How could there be so many? KB asked, is that pirate ship really worth it? Or is there someone with a high bounty among the prisoners? No, I robbed the Navy. Robbing the Navy? KB opened his mouth wide. Sami sat down, ordered a glass of wine, and explained in detail the incident. KB's brain had already crashed after listening. He thought that what Luffy did today was already outrageous enough, but he didn't expect Sami to be the most reckless person. Did you rob the Navy? You're really interesting. Sauron looked up at Sami seriously, with a smile on his lips, as if he appreciated Sami's actions. For him, who has always relied solely on hunting pirates for bounties as his sole source of income, if anyone dares to covet his bounty, he will pull out his sword without saying a word. Sami smiled slightly and said, "I'm flattering you, Roranoa Solon. I heard you've agreed to Luffy's invitation, so please give me more guidance in the future." Two people looked at each other with a smile, their hearts cherishing each other, and the air was filled with affection. Chapter 10, Wine and Meat Friends. You are listening at novelfull.audio. Sometimes, if you just take a glance at someone, you will decide whether they are an enemy or a friend. Sami and Sauron are like this, they just met for the first time, and there was a feeling of empathy between them. From mutual recognition to toasting each other and then indulging in heavy drinking, the two of them completely let nature take its course and it was natural. So, by the time Luffy finally filled his bottomless stomach, Sami and Sauron had already finished all the wine stored in the tavern. What a wine and meat friend. Sami patted Sauron's shoulder and laughed loudly, so that guy from Sanji is really picky, gulp 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 gulp. Sauron, you're completely easy to get along with, gulp gulp gulp. Gudu gudu, ha ha ha, I am the kindest swordsman in the entire East China Sea, gudu gudu. That curly eyebrow named Shanji you mentioned really deserves a beating. Gudu gudu. Gudu gudu, yes, that guy, gudu gudu, thought he was handsome. You'll see him in the future. In this way, before encountering Sanji, Sauron became the first Yamahiri under Sami's temptation. Alas, the mystery of the entanglement between the mountains that has plagued Jaime for many years has finally been solved. Luffy can't bear to watch anymore. Hey, Sami, don't grab my partner. What are you saying? We're all on the same boat, Captain. Really? Then I can rest assured. Luffy suddenly realized that in that moment, he thought Sami was going to snatch Sauron away from him. Just as he was about to sit down and have another big meal, the restaurant door was pushed open and a group of Navy soldiers walked in with neat steps. However, they did not carry any weapons. Led by a branch lieutenant colonel, he first looked around and then said in a serious voice, "Although we are very grateful for your overthrow of Monka's brutal rule, as a navy, we must fulfill our duty to expel pirates, so please leave immediately." As soon as he said these words, the Straw Hat group had not yet expressed it, and the others in the restaurant immediately stopped. "Hey, Navy, how can you talk like that? Yes, they are our life-saving benefactors." Unfortunately, these words did not shake the colonel's determination at all. He still stared closely at Luffy and the others, using his gaze as a weapon. The atmosphere instantly became confrontational. Sami immediately stood up and gave a glance to Luffy and Sauron. "Mr. Sami, please don't." KB thought Sami was angry and wanted to take action, so he quickly stood up to stop him. But Sami said, "Let's go, Luffy, Sauron, we've been staying here for too long." Luffy obediently put on his straw hat, and now his intelligence is online. Let's go on an adventure. Sami smiled and waved goodbye to KB. Since these navies can politely drive them away, at least it indicates that they have not yet investigated what happened in the port office, so it would be better to hurry and leave. So as not to cause unnecessary casualties again when they find out the real culprit. 3 people quickly walked outside the door. The colonel first cleared the way for them to pass, then turned his head and suddenly asked Kirby, "Why don't you leave? Aren't you their accomplice?" I. KB became nervous and couldn't speak. Sami pointed to Kirby and said, "Oh, this guy is ugly and short. How could he be our companion?" "Are you right, Captain?" Luffy immediately responded with a sarcastic tone, I heard this guy was once taken by the fat woman Alita to work as a laborer before, it's like losing his life." Sami felt like applauding in his heart. Perfect, it's just a passing. Luffy has acted in many scenes in his life, but only this time can he win the Best Actor award. Not only did he score perfect in his lines, but he also had his facial expressions and body movements as the top classic image on screen. No. Stop talking. KB, who had been beaten several times by Luffy, finally couldn't help but beat him back this time. Then he was punched in the face by Luffy, unable to fall to the ground in battle. The scene was stunned, especially the residents who had been staying here before. Sigh. Aren't you all friends? The colonel watched as the two of them engaged in a fierce fight, but his heart felt like a mirror. He said that you were not accomplices, but he didn't believe that you were not friends. This horse is pounding your chest with small fists, still pretending. But the seasoned lieutenant colonel, who saw through it but didn't speak it out, immediately pretended to be angry and said, "Enough, I know you're not companions anymore. This town doesn't welcome you now. Hurry up and leave, pirate. Let's go." Sami grabbed Luffy, who was still about to take action, and pulled him left and right with Sauron as they walked out the door. The guy shouted in his mouth as he walked out, "Wow, come here, I'll beat you to death. I completely don't understand what is more than enough." Having walked a long way, Soren finally let go and said helplessly, "Did you perform too poorly, Luffy? Believe me, our captain's ability to perform like this is already a blessing from heaven." "Really?" Luffy seemed to hear the praise. "Of course, Luffy, you were really great this time." "Huh, I wouldn't lie at all," Luffy said proudly. Sauron said strangely, "Is there really someone who can't lie?" Sami said nonchalantly, "What's this? There are people who don't even know the way." Luffy was shocked and said, "Can't you? There's actually that kind of idiot." Sauron's face immediately turned black. 3 people were arguing and making a fuss, all the way to the dock. Because the small sailboat had been tied behind the pink pirate ship before, Sauron only saw the big ship at first glance. "Is this our ship?" "That's right," Luffy grinned. "Pink?" Sauron stared. Luffy was shocked and said, "Pink? Ah. Sami, our boat is missing. Stop shouting, the ship is behind." "Ah, yes, we're not this ship," Luffy remembered and jumped onto the big ship, running back. Soon everyone saw the pitiful little sailboat. "This is your pirate ship." Sauron's eyes widened wider than just now. "There's nothing we can do, we don't have the money," Sami shook his head. "Otherwise, you think why did I rob the navy? Well, since you have captured the pirate ship of Alrita, why not change the ship?" Sami pursed his lips and turned his head to fly, saying, "Why don't we treat this ship as our flagship? We'll have to look for another ship in the future." Luffy crossed his hands and said, "Refuse, I want my own boat. But now this ship belongs to us." Luffy said decisively, "This is not our ship." Sauron added on the side, "If you don't like pink, you can find a boatman to repaint it." "No, this is not our ship," Luffy refused again. "What does he mean?" Sauron turned his head and asked Sami. "He wants his own boat," Sami nodded. Someone was speechless. Sami certainly knows what Luffy means. He just wants a ship that has been his own since the beginning, and the one he snatched is completely unacceptable. Luffy is very persistent about the pirate ship and refuses to be a bullhead. Otherwise, before obtaining the Mary, he would have had countless opportunities to capture the ships of other pirate ships. Sami scratched his face. He originally wanted to take this ship to the navy to exchange for a bounty, but now that the road has been cut off. As for continuing to carry this ship, it is also impossible. A large ship with a displacement of several hundred tons cannot be driven without a dozen or 20 people. But they only have 3 people. Well, to be precise, there are only 2 people who can work. Looking at Luffy, who was already sitting in the top seat, Sami could only decide to reluctantly give up. Anyway, earning 4 million Bailey this time was enough. "Let's go, Sauron. Sooner or later, we will have a ship that truly belongs to us," Sami assured Sauron.